Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie, and today is another installment in my Use Your Scraps series. And today we're focusing on using your Christmas scraps to make cards. So in a previous video I had separated out all my Christmas type scraps, and I had told you that I was going to take a bunch of images with me to an event to color, and when I came back I would make some cards. So I'm at the point now where I've colored a number of images and I've aligned the scraps that I want to use with the respective image, and I thought I would show you that first, and then I will go and put the cards together and show you what I came up with. So I do reserve the right to add additional cardstock to these images, particularly some of the scrap solids that I have, because of course my goal is also to use those up. But for now I just want to show you what images I colored and the corresponding pattern paper that I'm using, or I plan to use with it. Now most of these are Copic colored, except for a few that were colored with colored pencils or pencil crayons. The colored pencil ones were the ones I did at the event. Ironically, I only got 4 images colored in, like, I don't know, 6 hours, and the rest of them I colored when I got back with alcohol markers. So I used the scrap paper as inspiration for the images. So for instance, this holly and berry one was the inspiration for this image that I colored. I believe this is a Stampendous stamp, so I'm going to do something with that. I have 2 of these snowmen, and I thought I would use this plaid 6x6, I think it's 6x6. Not quite 6x6 paper. I have this caroling women from Art Impressions, and I've got this scrap, and I also had embossed a bunch of this pearlescent paper, and I thought I could make something cute out of those. This is a scrap from Pink Fresh line. I can't remember what the name of it is, but that's what that is. And I don't remember whose image this is. It might be Hero Arts. Might be. I stamped this with Delicata Gold and then colored it with Copics. I quite like how that turned out. It's quite soft. Versus this one is the one where I stamped in black and colored it with Copics. And I've got a little scrap of this textured cardstock. This was from Tonic Studio kit. I have a bunch of these little chickadee images. They're all colored exactly the same. And I had a lot of this scrap that just says Happy Holidays, Be Merry on it, and I thought those would go really well. I also colored these lawn fawn images, so each one of these I'm planning to make a card out of, and I pulled some random scraps that I thought I could use to make those cards. This poinsettia is from Stampendous as well, and I thought I could use this textured flocked cardstock, or I guess it's not really cardstock, it's probably more designer paper from Stampin' Up. It's very old. I did a couple of these twisting, I can't remember what they're called. Basically you got a front and a back and a spinner card, that's what it is, to make a spinner card. And I have this really, really old piece of paper, like we're talking probably 1995, yeah, that long. So it's time to use that up. This one I did in navies with a piece from Pink Fresh. I did a few of these little snow guys. These were from CC Designs, and I just lined them up or matched them up with some small bits of cardstock. These were also by CC Design, and I thought I could use those bits here. I don't remember where this was from. It was from a kit of some sort. Maybe was from a kit, don't remember. I did some of these little snow guys. This is from Pure Innocence MFT, and again a little scrap. This one I figured I could get 2 cards out of this scrap. This one I aligned with this Doodlebug paper, and again I think I can get 2 out of those. This is some really old Stampin' Up! Designer paper, so I colored these little elves. I did a couple of those. From the same stamp set, I had these little snowmen, and I can't remember who, this might be Die Cuts with a View maybe. It's kind of embossed, textured snowflakes. So I have a couple of those. And then I also colored the reindeer from the same set, and I have this Christmas paper. I think this might be from Pink Fresh too, but I'm not sure on that. I have two of these images here colored. These are from Purple Onion, and this is from Creative Memory. No, these are from Stampin' Up, I think. Anyways, I thought that would look quite cute together. Here's another one of those poinsettias. This one was done in pencil crayons or colored crayons, and I've aligned it with this snowflake. I've got a couple more of these CC Design ones, and I thought I would match them up with this light blue snowflake paper, as well as more of that embossed. This one is embossed with snowflakes, you can see that, versus the other one was embossed with ornaments. You see more of that pattern cardstock from earlier. I paired that up with this little snowman. You can see how I tried to align the colors as best I could. This is done with colored pencils. I think this was a Simple Stories pattern paper I thought would be kind of cute with these little penguins. Now, I did make a bit of a mess when I was coloring these. This is done with colored pencils. So I think I'm going to trim this one out. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. And then I have these Reindeer and Friends. I colored like 4 of them, and I thought I could use some of this cardstock with it. Now, ironically, I think my scraps are going to generate scraps, but we'll see how this goes. So I will be back with some finished cards to show you what I did. Okay, so I finished putting all my cards together. I've got a nice little stack here. Should go a long way to getting all the ones I need done for this year. So this is all that I have left of my scraps, my Christmas scraps, which is not bad at all. I ended up also putting together a few little kits to send to my nieces, and so that used up quite a bit as well. So I will now show you the cards that I made, and these are pretty simple cards. You know, but I still like how they turned out. So I'm just going to flip through these, and if I have anything special to note, I will mention it. So this has that embossed pearlescent paper on it. These two are basically exactly the same, just a different image and different scraps. These ones here, exactly the same, just different card bases. The snowflakes I made using some silver cardstock that I then colored with Copics and punched out. And so they do have like a pearlescent sheen to them, and I quite like how that turned out. Most of the embellishments I did on here was just a little bit of glitter glue and some glossy accents. And I was into outlining. These are all pretty much the same. I was into outlining, so most of them do have an outline border, and I just used my pen to draw that, and I didn't like use a ruler or anything. And these two are about the same. These guys here, I actually trimmed out the interior piece so that it looks more like a snow globe. I think if I were to make these cards with this image again, what I might do is cut out a piece of acetate just to really give it a real snow globe look, but I'm happy with how these turned out. I had some black card bases, so I used up what I had to make those, and then the one remaining one I used just a plain white card. See, I just added a little bit of glitter to their wings. I really like how the black turned out. I had a craft card base that I wanted to use, but then I also did one on a white. So basically the same card, just different card bases. And I add a little bit of sparkle with some glitter glue. These two are basically exactly the same. And again, I just added a little bit of glitter glue on the snowman, and that was basically it. This one did quite a bit of a turn. I had originally selected a different pattern paper. Let me just pull that out. This one here. I just couldn't make it work with the image. It looked a little bit funny with the greenery that was on here. This piece here had been scheduled to be used with the large poinsettia background, and I ended up not using it there, so I just repurposed it for this one. And I really like how this turned out, having it all trimmed. So it is on a light blue card base, and I just added some glitter glue where the snow is, and that was basically it. These ones here are all basically the same design, just different stamped images. And these are popped up on pop dots. This one here, I had originally planned to use this this side of the cardstock for the background, but I found it was just a little bit too much, and I really liked how this stripe turned out. I did have a little bit of scrap left over, so I just added it here, and I think that looks really quite fun. This was the one that I had colored using colored pencils. I did outline it with a pen just to brighten up those black lines, and then I used some Nouveau crystal drops in the center. This one here is the same image. I just reoriented it so that it's a horizontal. And I did add some glitter glue on the leaves as well as the crystal jobs. And this paper here is from Stampin' Up, and it's flocked, so it's fuzzy. Quite like how that turned out. You'll notice most of these don't have any greetings on them. I'm opting not to include that this year. I think what I'll do is I'll just stamp something on the inside, and we'll call that done. So this is the one with the 3 penguins. I trimmed them out and added some glossy accents on the ornament. I did pull out some washi tape to add a little bit of something, but that was basically it. I like how this one turned out with the paper. Again, this is that embossed pearlescent paper, and then I added some washi tape, trimmed this out, and then just added some glossy accents to accentuate it. These ones here, I had some copper card bases that I wanted to use, and I thought they would go well with the deer. The only accent I added was some red glitter to his nose, and then put some glossy accents on top of that. This guy here I matted in red using some red scraps, and added a little bit of glitter glue to add some sparkle to him. I tried to do some red on here, and I just wasn't getting quite the coverage that I had hoped. So it is what it is. I also did use some glossy accents on his nose, his cheek, and his buttons down the front. These large ones, the only thing I did was add some glitter to his nose, glitter glue to his nose, and then covered it with glossy accents afterwards. The cardstock, as you can see, just kind of frames, and all of these are exactly the same. For the large snowmen, it's the same design as the reindeer. The only difference is that I added some Ranger enamel accents for his eyes, and did some glossy accents for his nose as well as the berries. I am going to go back and see if I can put a little white dot in his eyes, because they did get covered, or maybe I won't. So these are long. I think they're like 8 1/4 long by 4-ish, I think. So this here is one of those flip cards where you're supposed to wind him up. Once you have it wound, you close your card, stick it in the envelope, and then when the person opens it, it should flip and spin. So I had a little bit of problems aligning this. It's a little bit tricky, but it is what it is. To help mask the any area that I didn't align properly, I put a little frame around it. I did find it quite plain with just a white background, so I pulled out another piece of scrap in my pile and added that behind, and I think that looks kind of cute. This is exactly the same card. The only difference, of course, is it's a different color and different pattern paper. I opted to go with a red just because this was solid already. For the inside, this was some cardstock. I had chosen to go with the pink poinsettia image, and again, I had decided not to use that, so I switched it out here. Now this guy I did not center very well, so he does get a little bit stuck, but I'm okay with that. It's okay. He's still cute. Speaking of the poinsettia images, I have had these really large card bases, and I thought there was, what's the right word? I really liked how this image looked with just a little bit of matting and then on the large base, and I didn't think it needed anything else. This one, I don't know if you can see the shine from the gold ink I used to stamp the image. It's so pretty. I really love how that one turned out. And then basically the same design for the black stamped one. Let's see, this is upside down. Like so. So those are all the cards that I created, and like I said, I used up a bunch of my scraps. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I hope this inspires you to pull out some of your scraps and get started on your Christmas cards, or if you don't usually send out Christmas cards, that maybe you will this year. And until next time, happy crafting.